Welcome to Adventures in Book Hunting. I believe this is episode 2. It occurred to me after I posted my last book hunting video that I ought to give you just a brief definition or thought about what I call book hunting. I have been a book hunter, a serious one anyway, for about 12 years. And initially, I was hunting books primarily for myself. Book hunting, as opposed to book buying, is going to non-traditional sources to find your books. Um, Garage sales, yard sales, used bookstores, little free libraries, library sales, library free carts, those sorts of things. To an extent, sharing books with friends. Books that you're not paying a whole lot for, but you're also not going with an expectation of a particular book most of the time. Um, as I said, primarily for the last many years, I've did this for myself, and more recently, last few years, um, I do it more and more for friends and a particular independent bookstore in Princeton, West Virginia, the Hatter Bookshop. In any event, wanted to update you on a recent book hunting adventure that I had just yesterday morning. I travel a lot for work, and as I travel, I explore these alternative sources and sites for books. And I have a particular route. There are places I visit almost every week. One is a little free library at an undisclosed location not too far from where I am right now. And I found several very interesting books at one time. In fact, I found so many books and took so many books from this little free library that I'm at a deficit with that little free library. I only had 3 books on hand that I felt like were suitable to place in this little free library. So as soon as possible, I have several others that I want to put back in. You have to be ethical with your little free libraries. In any event, this is just some interesting things I found. First off, some independently published books from an author I'd never heard of, but after a quick glance, realized I've got to keep these, at least give them some further investigation. The author is Jill Pritchett, a local author, and I found 3 books. Let's try and put them in order. Publication. The first is View from My Soul. And just from a quick glance, this looks like a paranormal murder mystery. Taking a page from Hamlet, a ghost is communicating with the living to uh, help find the person who murdered them. Now, for me, most interesting, this book is set uh, in the New River Valley of West Virginia. It's not too far from where I am right now. And by the way, each of these books, the author is also the illustrator for the cover of the book, and did a little research on this author, and that's primarily what she would probably say she is. She is an artist. In fact, she describes herself as a watercolorist, and I believe attempting to do this professionally, and I can certainly see why based on the quality of the art in her books. First off, first one, A View from My Soul. She has 2 other books, and I was fortunate enough to find both in this little free library. The first one is Death on the New River. Once again, a murder mystery. And you can see it's also a Bonnie and Dwight mystery. Bonnie and Dwight in this book are New River rafting guides who apparently in their spare time solve crime, which was a concept that just tickled me. In any event, this is the first in the series. As you can see, the illustration, which was once again done by the author. This is an image of the New River Gorge Bridge, which is the longest single arch bridge in the Western Hemisphere. And as you can see, people are base jumping off of the bridge. And this is a tradition that's been going on for many years. There's, in fact, a day in the fall every year where, in the town of Fayetteville, where this bridge is located, they have a festival around the bridge. And for that one day, you're allowed to legally base jump from the bridge. It's like I say, a huge event for that community. In any event, she has an illustration of that activity. It's probably what Fayetteville is the most famous for, and it is in fact been named one of the coolest small towns in America. Anyway, that was the first one. The second one was this one, Serial Waves. As you can see, yet again, another Bonnie and Dwight mystery. Once again, looks like she has started a series with reoccurring characters. Once again, whitewater rafting guides who are solving mysteries in the New River Valley. Uh, got to check this out. And I'm going to see if, after I take a good look at them, if this is something the Hatter Bookstore is interested in. It always seems like there's a market for local stuff, particularly if it's good. And I'm going to give these a good try. The next thing I found in the same little free library is a copy of The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. And I know the Hatter Bookshop will be interested in this. This is a book they cannot keep on their shelves, and it's certainly understandable why. For those who don't know, The Glass Castle is a memoir of Jeanette Walls, who became a columnist for major New York publications later in life. This is the story of her life as told by her, and why it's such a hot item locally. Her family lived for many years in the community of Welch in McDowell County, West Virginia. That section has made it very popular locally and also very controversial locally. I worked in Welch myself many years, and when tourists came to town, they wanted to see one of two things: Jeanette Walls' house or the site where Sid Hatfield was gunned down on the courthouse steps in the 1920s. Those were the hot tourist destinations. Um, Jeanette Walls has written several books. This one was made into a film starring Brie Larson. Let's see, in my notes. In 2017. They actually did some principal photography in the city of Welch. Unfortunately, that was one day I was not in Welch working, much to my chagrin. But in any event, very popular book, particularly locally, and I'll be dropping this off at the Hatter Bookstore later this week. The next book I found is a classic, paperback edition of Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, first published in 1960, and still very popular today. As you can see, it's a pretty good trade back copy. Another popular item. I'm sure this is also intending to go to the Hatter Bookshop. It's another item that they're probably going to be able to sell fairly quickly. Even after 60 odd years, Harper Lee is still very popular. One of the great fictional works looking at race relations in America, particularly in Jim Crow South. Um, of course, also adapted as a film, and let me check my notes, in 1962, starring Gregory Peck as main character Atticus Finch, and this is most likely an image to portray his daughter Scout, and the book is told from Scout's point of view. I, of course, had to read it in school. Many of us did. It's one that I did not regret having to read in school. Very good book, well deserving of the Pulitzer Prize that it won. Last, I've got a couple of books from Adriana Trajani. Another somewhat local story. This is the first and third books of her Big Stone Gap trilogy. Big Stone Gap being a community not too far from here in Wise County, Virginia. Um, in fact, where the author was born. But I had not heard of this as of say a month ago, and now I constantly find it. I've given a full set to the Hatter Bookstore. I've given a signed copy of the third book, Milk Glass Moon, to the Hatter, and I don't know if they have a need for additional copies, but I will keep them. I will read them. I'm currently doing a buddy read where I'm reading another one of her books called, let me check my notes. Oh, yeah, Queen of the Big Time. Queen of the Big Time is the story of basically a coming of age story. Um, uh, set in a community of Italian Americans that immigrated from the province of Bari on the Adriatic coast of Italy, and basically recreated their community in upstate New York in the 1920s. Particularly of interest to me, as that was where my family's from. My father's father's lineage goes back to the same province in Italy. In fact, my last name comes from that province. So of interest. And like I say, I'm enjoying the book and the buddy read. So it's piqued my interest, and I'm definitely going to read those books set very close by in Southwest Virginia. So I want to try and do a book stack. Here are all the books again. This was from one visit to one little free library. Books all in excellent shape. Very interesting stuff. I left a lot of stuff behind that wasn't so much of interest to me anyway, or to anyone else that I know. But yes, I was very, very pleased with this haul. Um, I've told people who don't get what I do, who don't really have an interest in books, that book hunting for me is kind of like deer season for some of these friends I have. And the way I describe it, hitting a haul like this is like getting a 10-point buck in the gun season in southern West Virginia, at least for me. Same thing, same thrill. Any event, hope you were informed or potentially even entertained by this video. Um, Appreciate your time, and remember, visit if you're anywhere near us, the Hatter Bookshop in Princeton, West Virginia. If you're interested in books at all, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Great selection, and even more importantly, great people who run the place. Thank you. Until next time, good luck book hunting.